Hi everybody, Kat here. Welcome to my channel. Well, it seems overnight that the mud just got thicker in the whole Endgame saga. Yesterday we learned that in the Dutch version of the book a royal racist was named. That's right, King Charles. Well, overnight it seems that a second royal racist was named. That is Catherine, Princess of Wales. Now, we know, even though Omid Scobie is backtracking and calling this an editing error, that he included it in the Dutch version so that it could come out, even if it was on the shelf for a short period of time, just long enough for people to get the information, and even if the book was pulled, the information would be out there. It was a publicity stunt, and boy, I think it's gone sideways, because the public is not going to tolerate this from him. Everybody's furious. Not only the public, the king and the royal house may have grounds to sue him. Defamation, character, that kind of a thing. Slander, libel, I'm not sure of the British laws, but much to that effect. So I really think the book, Endgame, aptly named, is going to highlight the endgame of Omid Scobie's career. I think he's done. He went too far. Now, with Harry and Meghan, we know that Harry and Meghan have contributed to the book, even though Omid says they haven't, even though they're denying involvement. We know this because Omid's first book, Finding Freedom, even though they adamantly denied having any involvement, it came out in court, and Meghan was forced to apologize for completely forgetting about a whole email chain with Jason Knopf, briefing him on what to say to Omid Scobie to contribute into the book. So we know they've done this before. They've briefed people, they've put things out there, they know exactly what they're trying to do. And this level of treachery against the king, Catherine, and the rest of the royal family, the British public, the Commonwealth, I think this signals the end for Harry and Meghan as well. It's their end game. Another thing they've done, everything they've calculated to do turns out very badly for them. And this is just another example of that, and I think this is worse than ever. They ever thought that they could come back from this, ever gain the trust of the king and the royal family again? This is it. They've done it. This is the end of the line for Meghan and Harry. Now, things get very interesting because I've been for over a year now following a couple of things I like to call the time loop and life imitating art. Now, time loop is my understanding and research about the similarities between the Duke and Duchess of Windsor, the abdicated king, and Wallis Simpson, and Meghan and Harry. And there's very interesting things indeed. For example, we're looking at a 7-year timeline. Harry and Meghan met in 2016. It's now 2023. We're just coming up on that 7 years. The Duke and Duchess of Windsor met in 1931. And 7 years later, they were banished from Britain. The abdication took place a couple of years before that, where they were being supported by the Crown for a couple of years in either government appointments as well as the king. That would be Queen Elizabeth II's father at the time when he ascended the throne when Edward abdicated. Well, now he was still sending money to Edward and Wallis. The Crown was still supporting them, much the same way as we know that Harry and Meghan have been supported by the government and the king. We know it. I mean, they can deny, but we know it. I mean, and even last year in the ledgers, it came out how much he was giving Harry, a couple of $1 million kind of a thing. I think it was. Anyway, this is going to be the end of the line of all that. The cutoff was 7 years when Wallace and Edward were completely cut off, named really as traitors. He was a traitor king. His dealings with the Nazis at the time, his program of appeasement, his plan, like the Nazis had said to him, if you let us do what we want to do and everything, we'll come back and we'll put you back on the throne as our representative king. So, and you've got Harry and Meghan, Mexit. They and they play at royals and have these sort of fake royal events and appearances and things like that. But this is, this is that traitorous event that is going to get them completely cut off by the royal family. And I think so, as it is the end game for Omid Scobie's career, this is the end game of Harry and Meghan's association with the royal family. I think the knowledge that they had part in this, and this is what they're saying, this is enough. That's a traitorous act, calling the king a racist. And I mean, there's been things they've said and done before that people have said were terribly treacherous and perhaps traitorous. So the timeline, I mean, right down to the number of years, right down to a traitorous event. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens in the near future. I think we're going to see all kind of fallout for Omid Scobie. He's done. And I think this is the end of the road for Harry and Meghan as far as the royal family is concerned. I think we may soon see what we've all been wanting, the removal of the titles, the banishment from England. Some people are even calling for rescinding his citizenship. So this is what we have to look forward to see with Harry and Meghan. If I'm right and the timeline stays true, as it seems to be doing, I mean, we're completing a 7-year cycle here, which is just wild. But now, what for the king? King Charles III, and is life imitating art? I have, as in the movie, and what I have always said, even since he became king, I said I give him 2 years and he's going to either abdicate, be taken off the throne, or step down. And it's going to be due to an event that the public completely turns against him. Now, in this society we're living in now, very woke society, I mean, for heaven's sakes, we've had statues pulled down because that guy, 300 years ago was a racist kind of a thing. They're not even taking into consideration that Britain, in fact, was the first country to stop the slave trade, the first country to make laws against it and encourage other countries around the world to follow suit. There's a lot of lefty-lovies out there, the woke culture, just stop everything, we gotta protest everything kind of young people that kind of bought into this whole, racism and reparations and all of that. This is what they chant like a mantra. It's a religion. They want reparations for everything. There's going to be a faction of society that believes this about the king. There's going to be a faction of society that are going to turn against the king. And given his age, and given the fact that whether he's a racist or not, and I don't believe he is, you can't argue with crazy. You can't defend yourself against claims like that. I mean, it's impossible to do. It's, that is why they always just stay silent. But remember, it was William during that he was attending an event or somebody asked him about the claims originally, and that was from the Oprah interview where Meghan had, talked about the original claim of racism in Archie's skin color. And William was asked by a reporter, and he just said, "We are not a racist family." Well, now Charles is going to be so under the gun here, and he's older, and he doesn't want to offend the woke base that support his climate change and green and all of this. He's not going to be, what's he going to be able to, it's going to be William that's going to have to take the horns of this one and straighten it out and straighten people out. I think this, and again, life imitating art, this may be the event that sees Charles at the window peering down on the Queen Victoria monument thing at the top of the mall with crowds of people calling for blood, calling for the king's head. This may be the King Charles III event that I've always said. I gave him 2 years, and there's going to be an event that brings him down or causes him to abdicate, and William will take the helm. And I see the time loop converging, the end of the line for Meghan and Harry, and I see King Charles III. This may be the beginning of the end for him as well. So it's all getting very interesting, kind of spooky, worth paying attention to see what happens next. I'd love to hear what you have to say about this. Go ahead and watch those other videos so you get an idea of a little deeper understanding of what I'm talking about. Leave me a comment, like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care, everybody.